If you've ever walked out to your raised beds excited for harvest, only to find holes in your greens, seedlings nibbled to sticks, or tunnels weaving beneath your soil, you already know the heartbreak pests can bring. But here's the good news. A raised bed is not just a growing space. When managed smartly, it becomes a defensible fortress that keeps invaders out while nurturing thriving soil and unstoppable plants. Today we're diving into natural, science-backed pest-smart strategies that transform your raised beds into pest-proof havens, not with chemicals, but with smart design, strategic planting, and homemade organic solutions any gardener can master. Let's jump straight into raising beds that pests regret invading. Healthy soil grows strong plants, and strong plants naturally resist pests. A raised bed gives us the advantage of total soil control, so treat your soil like your first line of defense. Compost, aged manure, worm castings, and mulch are not just nutrients. They build a resilient micro-ecosystem. Beneficial microbes and fungi help plants communicate stress signals and activate natural defenses. Amend yearly, mulch deeply, and avoid synthetic fertilizers that cause, soft growth, the tender, juicy tissue pests love. Raised beds make installing pest defenses easy and elegant. Mesh row covers, floating fabrics, and insect net hoops protect crops like leafy greens, brassicas, and young seedlings during their most vulnerable phases. For burrowers like moles and voles, it's best to install galvanized mesh hardware cloth underneath when building the beds, and for slugs and snails, copper tape around the bed edges really disrupts their movement. It's almost like hitting a natural force field they just can't cross. When pests can't reach your crops, they simply can't cause damage. It's simple, effective, and you don't need any chemicals. The strongest gardens, partner with nature, not fight it. Raised beds give structure and height, making predator habitats easy to integrate. Border your beds with pollinator flowers, herbs, and native plants that call in the cavalry, ladybugs, lacewings, birds, parasitic wasps, toads, and frogs. Plants like dill, chamomile, calendula, marigold, alyssum, basil, and nasturtium are more than pretty. They are biological security guards. Keep shallow water dishes and rocks for beneficial insects, and place bird perches or a small bird bath nearby. With the right allies, your raised beds become a miniature ecosystem defenders love to patrol. Mulch does more than just conserve water. It actually limits where pests can hide and lay their eggs. You'll want to favor coarse mulches like straw wood chips around your bed pathways or even dry leaves. And it's best to avoid fresh grass clippings or soggy mulches, since those can basically turn into slug resorts. A 2 to 3 inch mulch layer prevents soil splash, which really helps reduce fungal diseases and keeps surfaces dry enough to discourage those soft-bodied pests. Healthy moisture below, dryness on top, it's a natural pest deterrent strategy that works all year round. Pests remember where the buffet was last season. Raised beds really make crop rotation simple. Just dedicate layouts and rotate families every season. Mix crops instead of planting large monoculture blocks. Pests struggle when their favorite food isn't easily found. So, it's a good idea to interplant basil with tomatoes, radishes with cucumbers, and maybe even lettuce beneath bush beans. Diversity really does breed resilience, and having a mixed canopy helps block pests while, at the same time, encouraging beneficial insects. Only treat when needed. Overusing sprays, even natural ones, can disrupt the cycles of beneficial insects. Now, when pests get out of hand, it's time to use precise organic solutions. Garlic pepper natural pest spray is a great option. It repels aphids, caterpillars, beetles, and leaf miners. You'll need 1 head of garlic, 2 hot peppers, 1 teaspoon of liquid soap, make sure it's not detergent, and 1 liter of warm water. So, to make the spray, you'll want to blend garlic and peppers with water, then strain the mixture and after that, add some soap. Next, dilute the mixture with 2 liters of water before spraying. It's best to apply it in the early morning, making sure you coat the undersides of the leaves. Remember, repeat this every 7 days during outbreaks, but it's not meant for routine maintenance. You know, slugs and snails really love the moisture in raised beds. Alright, so, you'll want to sink a shallow container level with the soil. Next, just fill it with 1 cup of beer and, about half a cup of water to stretch the bait a bit. Remember, you'll need to replace it every 2 days. Okay, so, you want to position traps at the corners of the bed, not right next to the plants. This way, you actually lure pests away from your crops instead of drawing them in closer. You know, clutter really does invite pests. It's important to keep the perimeter weed-free and dry, so crawling pests lose their hiding spots. Remember to elevate pots, remove boards and debris, and let the air flow freely around your beds. You know, a tidy garden is not just about looking nice, it's actually a pretty smart way to prevent pests too. So, what you want to do is plant defense lines right at the borders of your garden beds. And, around the edges of your raised beds, go ahead and plant some strong deterrent herbs like mint. Just make sure it's in a container, along with rosemary, thyme, and garlic chives. These aromatic plants interrupt pest scent trails, making it harder for invaders to locate tender vegetables. Combining fragrance and raised structure confuses pests and protects crops miles better than bare edges ever could. Water smarter to avoid pest swarms. Morning watering ensures that foliage dries quickly, which really helps minimize fungal disease and those pesky aphid magnet conditions. Raised beds drain beautifully, but you know, shallow evening moisture just invites slugs and fungus. Hydrate roots early, and let leaves bask in daylight to stay clean and protected. You know, healthy airflow around plants, especially in dense raised bed planting, makes a dramatic difference in pest levels. Let companion plants work while you rest. So, you know, it's really important to incorporate strong botanical protectors right inside your raised beds. Nasturtiums, for example, draw aphids away from your crops. Basil can actually repel thrips and beetles, while marigold helps deter nematodes and, some beetles too. Garlic and spring onion, well, they dissuade pests quietly but powerfully. It's kind of amazing how effective these simple plants can be. These aren't just old wives' tales, they're nature's pest management crew, working long after you head indoors for the evening. Your raised beds are more than just containers for soil, they're controlled environments where, honestly, every design choice can tip the balance toward flourishing growth or, pest frustration. Mastering raised bed pest control is really about layering biology, barriers, biodiversity, and thoughtful maintenance. Do that, and, well, pests become a manageable whisper instead of a devastating roar.